Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to today's event, Always Strive for Excellence, Theodoros Papazoglu, Supporting Research, Making an Impact. We are honored by your presence here today, both in person and online. Before we begin, we would like to extend a particular warm welcome to Dr. Henning, the wife of Theodoros Papazoglu, and Ms. Papazoglu, his sister, who are here with us. Today's event brings together representatives of the research community, policy and funding bodies to reflect on the impact of the action Science and Society Always Strive for Excellence, Theodoros Papazoglu, and to discuss the broader role of research funding in advancing scientific excellence in Greece. This event is also held in memory of Theodoros Papazoglu, whose contribution to the research community and his close connection with the European Research Council has left a lasting imprint. We will now begin with the program with the welcome remarks. I would like to invite to the podium Mr. Dimitrios Terzis, Secretary General for Research and Innovation.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, we gather today in a spirit of gratitude and inspiration to reflect on the lasting impact of a vision that continues to shape how we support and celebrate scientific excellence, aristia in Greek, a concept that Greeks have been documented to be serving for over 3,000 years. Specifically, we are paying tribute to a scientific action and to a prominent scientist. The action we are honoring today is Science and Society, Επιστήμη και Κοινωνία, co-funded by the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, H.F.R.I. or ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ, and the Stαύρος Νιάρχος Foundation, to which we have so many reasons to be grateful for. Today's event, through its title, Αιέν Αριστεύειν, Θεόδωρος Παπάζογλου, carries a simple yet profound message from Homer's Iliad, 6:208. Αιέν Αριστεύειν, and then it goes on, και υπήροχον έμενε άλλον, that is, ever to excel and to be preeminent above others, or in plain language, always be the best and stay above the rest. As you know, the Science and Society Action was created to strengthen research excellence by rewarding high-quality proposals that had already succeeded or shown exceptional promise in the intensely competitive European Research Council, ERC evaluations, while also building favorable conditions to harness Greece's scientific talent and attract outstanding researchers back from abroad. The impact of such initiatives goes far beyond individual grants. Such initiatives nurture a culture of ambition backed by real opportunity, frontier thinking, bridge international success with national impact, and demonstrate how targeted support for top-tier research generates broader societal benefits, from new knowledge and innovation to inspiration for the next generation of scientists. This gathering also holds special meaning as a tribute to Theodoros Papazoglu, a foundational figure in the European Research Council since its inception around 20 years ago. Thodoris, as he was known to friends and colleagues, served the ERC with loyalty, wisdom, and dedication to its principles, helping, among other things, to shape its legal foundations. In honoring his legacy, today's event reminds us that real excellence is inseparable from humility, honesty, and community service, as we will hear today from ERC colleagues and project leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, research and innovation in Greece has been increasingly flourishing throughout this decade, helped by a series of government initiatives and promoted by the collective action of the people that comprise its ecosystem, including H.F.R.I, ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ, the role of which has been and will continue to be invaluable. We have exceeded 1.5% of GDP in R&D intensity, reaching approximately 1.54% according to the latest available data, and would probably have been much closer to the 2.2% of the EU average had it not been for the major international crisis that our country has successfully been navigating through during the past 6 years. Yes, we have a lot more to do for research and innovation in Greece, and the road ahead is an open opportunity to even greater achievements. As a matter of fact, we are actively working on that as we speak. It is, after all, a challenge we can certainly take on, since Greece has extraordinary scientific talent with researchers that compete at the highest levels in the EU and the rest of the world. Let us therefore carry forward, not just by funding remarkable research, but by also upholding the same values of openness, trust, and unwavering commitment that Theόδωρος Παπάζογλου actually embodied and passionately worked for. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General. Please welcome Professor Georgi Andreou, President of the H.F.R.I. Scientific Council.
Thank you. Dear distinguished guests, esteemed researchers, Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me as President of the Scientific Council to welcome you to today's event. Okay, thank you. An occasion dedicated to celebrating excellence, resilience, and the enduring spirit of scientific inquiry. Allow me to begin with a few words about the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, which this year celebrates its 10th anniversary as an independent public funding body. Its mission is to support and promote curiosity-driven research in Greece without thematic or geographical constraints. H.F.R.I. funds research projects and fellowships distinguished by high scientific quality and excellence, covering the full spectrum of disciplines, including natural sciences, food sciences, social sciences, humanities and arts, and many others. Since 2016, H.F.R.I. has granted more than 348 million euros across all scientific fields. Over this period, 28 calls for proposals have been launched, attracting 22,356 applications and research proposals, and resulting in the funding of 1,585 research projects and 1,610 fellowships for PhD candidates. Among those initiatives are the second and fifth Science and Society Actions, entitled Always Strive for Excellence, Theodore Papazoglu. These two calls, with a total budget of 10 million, are the result of the collaboration between the Hellenic Foundation of Research and Innovation and the Stavros Nιάρχος Foundation, a partnership that began in 2019 with the invaluable contribution of Theodore Papazoglu. Today, we're gathered to recognize and engage with an outstanding group of Greek researchers who achieved distinction in the highly competitive evaluation process of the European Research Council across the starting, consolidator, and advanced grant schemes. Although budgetary constraints within the ERC prevented the direct funding of all excellent proposals, those achievements did not go unnoticed. Through the joint initiative of H.F.R.I. and the Stavros Nιάρχος Foundation, support was secured under two different schemes, either providing funding to researchers so as to have the opportunity to submit an improved version of their proposal to a future ERC call, or enabling them to proceed with the implementation of their whole project in Greece. Once again, welcome and congratulations to all participants. Your work is a source of inspiration and your contributions are shaping the future of science. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. I would like to invite Mr. Panos Papoulias, Chief Operating Officer of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation.
Mr. General Secretary, Mr. President, distinguished guests, we're especially honored to have with us today, as was said before, Dr. Elke Hennig, the wife of the late Theodore Papazoglu, and Naskia Papazoglu, his sister. We are deeply grateful for Theodore Papazoglu's contribution to this project, without which the program we are gathered here to acknowledge today would not have become a reality. Dr. Hennig and Ms. Papazoglu, thank you for being here with us. It's really a true honor to have you. The H.F.R.I. initiative forms part of SNF's Recharging the Youth, or what we call, or you sometimes heard it as RTY, umbrella of grants, and it has been approved by SNF's board of directors in the midst of the Greek financial crisis. For some, that period may now seem kind of distant, but its effects were still being felt very vividly in the research community in 2019, when this grant was launched. This initiative stands as a powerful example of how targeted support can protect excellence and create lasting impact through a public-private partnership. In 2019, a grant of €5 million was approved for the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation to support highly rated European Research Council proposals that, despite their quality, could not be funded at that time. Matched by an equal contribution from H.F.R.I, the program reached a total budget of €10 million and created an important bridge, allowing outstanding research to move forward rather than be lost. What makes this initiative particularly significant is that it did more than simply fund projects. By requiring proposals to be resubmitted through Greek institutions, it also helped strengthen the Greek research landscape itself. In several cases, this led to genuine brain gain. This is a very catchy term, but in this case, it actually happened, as Greek scientists chose to return and conduct competitive research in Greece. 6 principal investigators came back to Greece to implement their projects here. That result speaks not only of the value of the grant itself, but also of the confidence that it inspired. The scale and breadth of the supported work are equally impressive. A total of 21 projects have been funded across a wide range of fields, including natural sciences, engineering, technology, life and health sciences, agriculture, humanities, the arts, and environment and energy. These projects have been carried out at universities and research centers across the country, while also fostering collaborations with 20 leading institutions abroad. Yet, all funding was directed to Greek institutions, ensuring that the benefits remained anchored here at home. The impact of that is already clear. By the end of the program, more than 200 researchers will have contributed to these projects. The entire budget has already been committed, and several projects have gone on to secure additional funding from ERC and ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ. This shows that the initiative has not merely provided temporary relief, but it has strengthened research excellence in Greece, supported outstanding scientists, many of whom are here today, and created momentum that will continue well beyond the life of the grant. None of this would have been possible without the guidance, dedication, and conviction of the late Theodore Papazoglu. Papazoglu was not simply one of the most accomplished Greeks to have built a career abroad. He was one of the most accomplished professionals on the international stage per se. This is widely known and has been recognized by people far more qualified than I am to speak on such matters. Even so, I would like to say a few words about how we came to know him and how in the very short time we had the privilege of working with him, he left a lasting remark on all of us that had the privilege of working with him. In Greece, we are often accustomed to seeing Greeks with distinguished and sometimes stellar careers abroad look back at Greece through an almost exotic lens. As a country burdened by inefficiency, insufficient recognition of excellence, and other chronic ailments. Many of these shortcomings are real and sadly often appear perennial. These accomplished individuals often genuinely wish to help Greece and make things move forward. Yet, paradoxically, their offers of help are often shaped by the very inefficiencies that they seek to overcome. Their proposals frequently involve implementing their vision through their own individual achievements and credentials, often with suggestions for new institutions which they themselves would lead and control. And of course, such proposals often require substantial additional funding. Theodore Papazoglu represented the exact opposite of this. He did not see Greece merely as a needy country that drives away those who can excel and can at best ask for the attention of those who have succeeded elsewhere. He believed in the dignity of reciprocity, not merely asking for and accepting help, but also making meaningful contributions to European scientific and governance matters within a relationship of mutual respect amongst all stakeholders. This is how we experienced him at SNF in the course of our collaboration in developing the effort that now has the honor of bearing his name. Our first contact with Mr. Papazoglu took place over the phone through a number of conversations. We discussed the idea of creating a funding pool for ERC projects that were judged fundable, but ultimately not funded. This arose from the fact that we were at the end of our Recharging the Youth initiative and we had a certain amount of funds that we could allocate. What better institution to look towards than the ERC? Mr. Papazoglu told us that no such mechanism existed within the ERC, but that establishing one would be beneficial both for researchers and for the ERC itself. So it was something that met that quality of reciprocity that he always looked for and we also looked for. At the time, Mr. Papazoglu believed it could serve as a pilot phase for a more open ERC approach toward worthwhile projects deserving of funding, even if they could not initially be supported. We later met at a cafe outside the ERC on a cold, rainy autumn day, and soon later he arranged a meeting between the ERC leadership and SNF. In a short time, he had laid the foundations for what we are here to acknowledge today, and he did so with conviction, efficiency, generosity, vision, and deep respect for all stakeholders and beneficiaries. We remain profoundly grateful for his contribution. It was an honor to have known him and to have worked with him. We are grateful to our partners from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and the Greek state, past and present. Many of them are here. Mr. Fotakis specifically, thank you for the collaboration all these years. And without them, this grant would not have been possible. It took many stakeholders, past and present, as I said. From the Stαύρος Νιάρχος Foundation, I would like to thank Professor Heini Murer, our board member, who participated in all discussions with Mr. Papazoglu, as well as Chris Katharios and my colleague, Ms. Eleni Agouridou. All of them approached this project with genuine care and interest, and they have been absolutely instrumental to its implementation. We very much look forward to listening to the panel discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It is a great honor to welcome Dr. Laura Potigia, Senior Policy Analyst at the ERC Executive Agency, who will share insights on the European Research Council and present data on Greek participation in ERC grants. Dr. Potigia, your floors.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me here today at this event in memoriam of Theodore Papazoglu. Theo for me and the colleagues in Brussels there. He was simply Theo. We are here to honor his memory and the principle always strive for excellence, which aligns Greek research policy with the core values of the ERC, which are competition, merit, and international scientific leadership. The ERC represents the highest standards of scientific excellence in Europe. Its grants are awarded solely on the basis of quality, and success rates are typically pretty low. They are always below 15%. And in this highly competitive environment, Greece has consistently demonstrated that it can compete. Greece's participation in the ERC tells a story which is both informative and encouraging. I was asked to provide you some data, and I will do this afterwards in the presentation. But yes, the story is encouraging because Greek researchers have secured ERC grants across all major schemes of the ERC, from starting to advanced grants, confirming the presence of outstanding talent and internationally competitive research. You will see which I will present the data, that institutions such as the FORCE, the National and Kapodistran University of Athens, and the National Technical University of Athens have emerged as the key hosts of this excellence in Greece. Informative because it tells us that the overall picture remains something of a high quality but still low volume. Greece produces excellent researchers, but too few ERC grants overall. Success is concentrated, and many of your best researchers, they continue to build their careers abroad. And as I said, it's not a question of talent, it's a question of scale, continuity, and system-level support. And in this context, the initiative Fostering Excellence in Greece plays a particularly important role, because as it was explained before, by supporting the proposals that have already been evaluated at the ERC level but could not be funded due to budget constraints, it targets precisely those researchers who are closest to success. So this is a smart instrument because it strengthens the national pipelines towards the ERC. As explained, the results were positive in that sense. It provides continuity at a critical moment in the research careers, and it contributes, at least in part, to retaining top talents in the country, and from what I understand, even to attract them back to the country. It is in many ways like a bridge from national funding, it's a bridge between the national funding and the European excellence. However, as I said, I mean, it's a high impact, but it cannot support it does support the very best, but it cannot on its own expand the broader research base or address the structural challenges such as fragmentation, limited funding, or institutional constraints. And this brings us to the deeper meaning behind the initiative names. The phrase "always strive for excellence," associated to Theodore Papazoglu, is not simply symbolic. It really reflects a vision of a research system grounded in meritocracy, international competitiveness, and continuous improvement. It's a principle that aligns closely with the philosophy of the ERC itself, and certainly with the philosophy of Theo himself, and with his strongest beliefs. And this brings me to add here some personal memories of Theodore Papazoglu. We have heard from the previous speakers about his contribution to the initiative, to the contribution to research, to his contribution to the ERC. But when Theo passed away in 2020, Theo was my head of unit and a dear friend. And I think in our unit, which at that moment was a small unit, we were really a community of friends more than colleagues, and Theo was our leader. He guided that for many years. And when he passed away, we tried to remember him by finding meaning in his death, by thinking of how knowing him had shaped each of us, in trying to find out how could we fold Theo's existence in our lives and how his existence has changed us. And talking about among each other, among colleagues and friends, we all remember his intellectual honesty and his unwavering and dedicated commitment on whatever he was doing, his effortless way to stick to his principles, his love for strategy and for argumentation. He had a very constructive dissent because he was respectfully challenging prevailing opinions to improve the outcome of any discussion. He was very down to earth, and he had a very unconventional way of approaching things. We remember his ability to listen before talking, his personified humility, which was also mentioned before, his kindness, and his kindness was also being kindly frank and direct, which was highly appreciated by everybody. He had a very understatement and a great irony and sarcasm, and he trusted all of us. He had this natural tendency to empower each of us in his team. In those days, we all said to each other that once confronted with questions and doubts, we would always ask each other, what would Theo do? What would Theo say in this situation? Today, we don't do that anymore, and I'd like to believe that this is because we have internalized his principles and his values. We hope that we are acting according to his principle without even asking. And I think this is the same here today with you. By invoking the principle, always strive for excellence, the initiative has sent a clear message that excellence is not an imported concept, but one that is deeply rooted in Greek academic tradition, and one that must guide your future choices. The key challenge ahead is therefore not whether Greece can achieve excellence, because it already does. The challenge is whether you can scale it, sustain it, and embed it more broadly across the system. If you succeed, ERC participation can become more than a measure of success. It can become a driver of transformation, strengthening institutions, attracting talent, and reinforcing Greece's position within the European research area. I will now give you some data. I was asked to present you some of the data. It's just okay here. So about the ERC, I suppose you know pretty well the ERC, but just as a summary. So we are part of Horizon Europe, the framework for research and innovation of the European Commission. And we had a budget in Horizon Europe of 16 billion, which represents 70% of the entire Horizon Europe budget. You know, we have a scientific governance, so we are governed by an independent scientific council with 22 members, who are, that includes the ERC president, and they have a full authority about the strategy of the ERC. They decide how and where we should spend our money. And they are supported by us, so the dedicated implementation structure, so the executive agency. Oops, sorry, it went. The principles of the ERC are the scientific freedom, so scientific excellence is the only criterion we use to evaluate the proposal we receive, and we support individual researchers, so we don't support consortia, and we are really bottom up. It's really, we don't have any predetermined subject, we don't give instruction on where the results should go. And we support frontier research in all fields of science and humanity with an international peer review. So this is the budget which has been growing over the years, and we are hopeful that it will continue growing. The projections are good. Let's hope that this continues. We need support from every side of the research community to convince the European Commission to continue increasing our budget. That will be good for everybody. As I said, we have this is the building where we are sitting, the tall building there. We are occupying the upper floors of it. And so we established the work program, which is actually established by the Scientific Council. We implement the call for proposals. We organize all the peer review system. Everything happens in this building. We establish and manage the grant agreement. So we have scientific officer, we have financial officers. We administer and financial all the aspect of the grant agreement with the researchers. And then we also have a lot of outreach communication activities towards the stakeholders. Our grant schemes have been growing. We started with starting granted advanced grants. Then in between we created the, oh, this is moving by itself. Sorry. The consolidator grants in between. The concept is always the same. It's only a career stage of the researchers. We then created the proof of concept. Greece is particularly successful in the proof of concept grants, and then this year the synergy grant came afterwards, and then the plus grant is the novelty of this year, which was a response to the call of the European Commission President, Choose Europe for Science. And so excellence, as I said, is the only evaluation criterion, excellence both of the research project and the principal investigator. We fund research in all areas of research, so the evaluation panel structure is divided in three main domains, which are life science, physical science and engineering, and social science and humanities. And within each of them, we have different evaluation panels, but this is purely for evaluation reasons. I mean, it's divided like this, not because there is a predetermined idea that we should fund in one or the other area. This is because obviously we receive so many applications that we need to organize it in different expert panels. But you know this. So as I said, in 2026 there are changes. So we again in this general initiative of attracting and retaining researchers in Europe, we will give additional funding, top-up funding for researchers who are currently based outside Europe. They are applying to start in consolidated and advanced grant, and they come back to Europe. We already had 1 million extra. Now this has been doubled up to 2 million, and this is all part of this Choose Europe for Science. And the ERC Plus, as I said, this is the big novelty. We still have to see how it will be going, but the objective is really to support outstanding researchers to address major scientific challenges that could not be solved with a regular ERC grant. It's a one-in-a-career grant. It's something which has to be, it's not just an ERC grant longer with more money. It's something different, it's something outstanding, it's something really different. There will be only 30 grants, so really, I mean, if you encourage applicants or researchers to apply, it has to be excellent, it has to be extraordinary, it has to be different from the others. This will be all the communication campaign that we are trying to do. Calendar, okay, this one you can find it on our website. So in figures, so we had over 15,000 top researchers funded since 2007 when the ERC was created, and around all of these PIs, there are at least 100,000 researchers who are building up their careers, are team members of the ERC. ERC grantees are patenting a lot, are creating startups, they publish in top journals, and they even win Nobel Prizes. So going back to Greece, so this is just the success rate by country of in the ERC since the creation of the ERC. You see the success rate of Greece. It's toward the end of the spectrum here, and but it has been growing. So from the first framework program, 3%, it got to 70% in 2020. Horizon Europe is not finished yet, but in the first period, it's already 5%. And number of grants, you see where Greece is in the picture here. And we were also looking at, so 86 ERC grantees in Greece, 56 male and 28 female. These are by domains, as I said, life science, physical science, and social science and humanities. And you also see Greek grantees are in all the areas. Host institution, I mentioned them before, and here we have ordered them by type of grant. You see that actually Greece is quite successful, so proof of concept grants, which are these grants that are additional grants. It's only 150,000 given to ERC grantees who want to verify whether their research has a potential for innovation, which, okay, and then here we, as I said, there were 86 years, ERC grants in Greece. 150 ERC grantees of Greek nationality are based abroad. Most of them are already resident abroad at the time of application. This is very, very common. I know also in Italy, many of the researchers go abroad to do their PhD, and they find a research community, a research environment, which is very, very strong. And from there, they apply for the ERC. But yes, getting talents back is one of the aim, I suppose. This is one example of an ERC synergy grant in Greece, which is quite successful, quite interesting. Just to give you an example, but there are many others that can be found on our webpage. And then we have the ambassadors for the ERC. The ambassador for the ERC is a novelty from last year. So there was a call for ERC grantees who would like to be part of this community of ambassadors in the different national countries. This is the ambassador for Greece. They have this task to talk about ERC frontier research to national stakeholders, to communicate, to inform, and here is the one for Greece. So I guess, then obviously we have all talked about the importance of Theo for the ERC, but we cannot forget that one of the founding presidents was also Greek, Fotis Kafatos, who contributed enormously to international science and research, and he was really one of the founding fathers of the ERC. Theo was always, all the time, always reminding what Theo was saying, keep it simple. That was Fotis' standard phrase, and Theo always reminded us about that. And these are the current members. So I think that's it for the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bondia, for this insightful presentation. Now it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Katerina Kuravelou, Director of H.F.R.I, to present the action and the...
Thank you, Mrs. Tapetiti, for the introduction. Dear Mr. Secretary General, Dr. Terzi, dear distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by warmly thanking you all for your presence at this special event, one that marks the start in a series celebrating the first decade since the establishment of the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation in the presence of its founder, Professor Kostas Fotakis. Today's gathering is also held in memory of Theodore Papazoglu, a true cornerstone of the European Research Council and a source of inspiration for so many within our community. It is an honor for me to be here today, not only as part of this celebration, but also as someone who has the privilege of contributing to this journey from its early vision. The moment carries both professional and personal significance. As we reflect on this path, we cannot overlook the people who shaped it. Many colleagues still recall with deep admiration that first meeting in the summer of 2018, both distant and yet so vivid, when Theodore Papazoglu shared his invaluable guidance on how the ERC operates and how excellence can be achieved within it. At the same time, we also feel the absence of someone who was truly fundamental to this effort, Christina Foka, whose dedication and contribution were priceless and remain deeply appreciated. Building on the inspiring stories we have already heard today, this presentation will turn to the data, illustrating how the co-funding initiative between the Stavros Niάρχos Foundation and H.F.R.I has promoted excellence in Greece, particularly through the calls entitled Always Strive for Excellence Theodore Papazoglu, a name thoughtfully introduced under the leadership of former director Professor Nasikas. So let me begin with a brief overview. The Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, established in 2016, is a non-profit public body dedicated to promoting research and innovation within the framework of the National Research and Innovation Strategy. It operates under the supervision of the Ministry of Development and is administratively supported by the General Secretariat for Research and Innovation. Our mission has always been and continues to be the support of unrestricted basic research without thematic or geographical limitation, guided solely by the criterion of scientific quality and excellence. At the same time, we actively contribute to reversing brain drain by harnessing the potential of Greek researchers, supporting scientists at all stages of their careers, upgrading national research infrastructures, and fostering meaningful connections between science and society. In order to fulfill this strategic vision, we have developed a range of funding schemes. These begin with scholarships for PhD candidates and extend to research project funding for postdoctoral researchers. I would like to highlight here that for the first time in Greece, postdoctoral researchers have been given the opportunity to serve as principal investigators and lead their own research teams. At the core of our activities are calls that support faculty members and researchers, including the acquisition of high-value research equipment. Looking ahead, and with the anticipated renewal of H.F.R.I.'s funding, we plan to introduce a new scheme focused on proof of concept, as we already heard also from ERC. Finally, one of the most impactful initiatives remain the Science and Society calls. Among them are the second and fifth call entitled Always Strive for Excellence, Theόδωρου Παπάζογλου, which have made today's event possible through the co-funding of the Σταύρος Νιάρχος Foundation and H.F.R.I. Taking a closer look at this 10-year journey, we can see that since 2016, H.F.R.I. has committed more than 348.5 million euros to support basic research in Greece. During this period, 28 calls for proposal have been launched, attracting a total of more than 22,000 applications and research proposals. To date, this has resulted in the funding of 1,585 research projects and 1,610 fellowships for PhD candidates. These achievements span the full range of scientific disciplines without thematic restrictions. Importantly also, the fact that for the first time, substantial support has also been directed toward the social sciences, humanities, and the arts, giving this field a strong and well-deserved platform within the social research ecosystem. Having outlined the broader picture, let us now focus on the second and fifth Science and Society calls entitled Always Strive for Excellence, Theόδωρου Παπάζογλου. The initiative for these calls originated in May 2019 with the establishment of the collaboration between Stαύρος Νιάρχος Foundation and the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation. The aim was to support Greek researchers who had been highly evaluated but not funded under the European Research Council starting consolidator and advanced grant schemes. These calls included two funding pathways. The first aimed to support researchers in refining and strengthening their proposals for resubmission to the ERC, while the second enabled the full implementation of the projects in Greece. The total budget for these actions amounted to 10 million euros, equally funded by the SNF and H.F.R.I. Multiple cut-off dates were announced, resulting in 8 evaluation rounds until the available budget was fully allocated. Looking first at the initial cutoff, a total of 8 proposals were submitted across 5 different scientific areas. Out of these 5 projects, each having received an A score from the ERC, they were awarded up to 250,000 euros per project in order to further develop and strengthen their proposals and to prepare for resubmission to the ERC. Regarding the evaluation process from the H.F.R.I. side, a panel of 11 evaluators was involved. All were based in Greece and the majority were male. Moving to the 7 cut-offs rounds of the 5th Science and Society call, a total of 35 proposals were submitted across 7 different scientific areas. Among these, 8 proposals had received a B score from the ERC and 8 had received an A score. It also worth noting that initially 2 additional proposals with an A score were selected from funding from the joint co-funding of SNF and H.F.R.I. However, before the projects officially began, they were ultimately funded directly by the ERC. Focusing now on the project that received bridge funding, we have a total of 14 projects, 6 with an A score and 8 with a B score. Most of these projects fall within the fields of life sciences and engineering science and technology. Regarding the principal investigators, as the figures that we already saw from the presentations of ERC are male, but it is important to highlight the fact that 6 of them returned from abroad back to Greece thanks to this funding opportunity. Altogether, the research teams include 86 researchers, of whom 18 are international. These projects are implemented in Greek institutions, with a majority hosted by the Foundation for Research and Technology, ELAS. It is also interesting to observe a notable hub of excellence emerging in Crete in relation to ERC-related research activities. In addition to projects hosted by FORTH, 3 more are implemented on the island. 1 at the Hellenic Mediterranean University, 1 at the University of Crete, and 1 at the Technical University of Crete. I don't know what happens there, but something very good happens in Crete. Another important aspect to highlight is the wide range and high level of excellence of the collaborating organizations involved in these projects, both from Greece and abroad. The main deliverable for the projects that received bridge funding is the resubmission of their improved proposals to the ERC. To date, until today, 7 projects have already been resubmitted to ERC calls, and 1 of them has successfully secured funding under an ERC consolidator grant. Finally, looking at the projects funded under the ERC Seal of Excellence scheme, we see that 7 projects with an A score, representing a total budget of more than 80 million euros, are currently being implemented in Greece. These projects span 4 scientific areas. As in the previous case, the majority of the principal investigators are male, and the research teams include a total of 135 researchers, 4 of whom are international. Once again, most of these projects are hosted by the Foundation for Research and Technology, ELAS. At the same time, we also observe the participation of highly recognized and respected research organizations, both in Greece and internationally, contributing to the strength and the impact of these initiatives. As we conclude this presentation, it is widely recognized that the number of Greek researchers who are ERC grantees remains relatively limited. We saw 85, 86 in the ranking. This highlights the need not only to increase the number of applications, but also to improve our overall success rate. In recent years, this gap has been effectively addressed through the co-funding initiative of H.F.R.I. and the Stavros Niάρχos Foundation, particularly through the 2nd and 5th Science and Society calls entitled Always Strive for Excellence, Theόδωρος Παπάζογλου. However, an important question remains. What comes next? Well, at the present, the available budget for these actions have been fully exhausted. At the same time, the Scientific Council of H.F.R.I. is exploring the possibility of utilizing resources from the second loan agreement between the Hellenic Republic and the European Investment Bank in order to relaunch the call. However, it should be noted that this agreement has not yet entered into force. We remain optimistic that there will soon be positive announcements, allowing us to announce new calls and continue supporting excellence. The needs of the Greek academic and research community are significant and pressing, with a profound impact not only on science, but also on society and the economy as a whole. Thank you for your attention.
Welcome back. We now move on to the first panel discussion. I will invite the chair of the panel, Professor George Karagiannidis, member of the H.F.R.I. Scientific Council, to guide the discussion.
It's okay? Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to chair this panel today. The title of the panel is Bridging the Gap, New Opportunities for ERC Greek Applicants. And this session focuses on a very important group of Greek researchers who came close to securing funding from the ERC, receiving high evaluation scores, but not the grant. The director of H.F.R.I. mentioned this before, and this is for the H.F.R.I. a very critical award, because it helps Greek researchers to bridge the gap and with the help of Stavros Niarchos Foundation, to fund this joint call with the objective to enable researchers to strengthen their ideas, further develop their research, and resubmit a more competitive proposal to ERC. During these years, 2 categories of applicants received bridge funding. Those who received A score in the second stage of ERC and were awarded with 250,000 euros, and those who got a B score and were supported with 100,000 euros. Today, we will explore how such bridging schemes can enhance the success of Greek applicants in future ERC calls. For this discussion, we have here today Professors Ηλίας Αϊφαντής, Θωμάς Τσοβίλης, Δημήτριος Αναστασάκης, George Διαλινάς, Γκίκας Μαγιοργίνης και Παναγιώτης Μόσχου. Unfortunately, Professor Panagiotis Verginis could not join us today due to some personal circumstances. Okay, I would like to ask first Professor Aifadis to share with us the impact of this call and specifically the role of Theodore Papazoglu and his mentor Fotis Kafatos to his career and research team.
Thank you. The 7 hopes, one is missing. The bridge of hopes, or the, yeah. Because of long time being in the area and knowing those people who are more senior than the young ones, I thought to share some slides with you briefly, just for historical reasons and also for bringing some of experience of the past that probably is needed today. So I will discuss, it's our lab in Thessaloniki is a 2-member lab, but it has accomplished international visibility. A lot of visitors came from all over the world, and this was due to this inspiration we had from ERC and later from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ. The reason I am here today is because we got 100,000 for improving our first submission. I hope the judges will be improved, not the submission. Sometimes it's due absolutely to the evaluators, the lack of the proposals, not only the quality of the proposals. I don't think I will be able to perhaps present a little different the things, but not the substance of it. So this this 100,000 euros, also we brought that to Crete because they had lasers facilities, and I thought to combine lithium batteries with lasers. It's very, very unique, very new idea. I think it will work. But this was motivated by a proposal we sent on batteries, got a B score in 2023, and I have below 2 other grants. We got one of 800 under the same SIM because of successful A submission to ERC also. These 2 ideas on batteries and non-local effects, whatever it means for some of you. Now, they were used later for 2 ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ proposals. Both they were rejected. So again, I like to bring up a little bit on the evaluation. I don't think the proposals were wrong. I think perhaps the committee did not understand the impact that they could have. And all the above were motivated by an ERC grant a young ERC grad was my daughter, which was very young at the time, 24 years old. And we had a lot of inspiration for submitting this and carrying it out from Kafatos. Kafatos was, I think, also the mentor of Papazoglu. And also one person that the name was not mentioned is Mitsos. I think these three helped a lot, and later Fotakis here in Greece, helped a lot for this, to inspire us, not necessarily to succeed, but inspire for doing research in Greece and networking with scientists abroad, as I will show now. Yes, we had, for these activities, we had over 100 short and long-term visitors in a lab of 2 people only. But we were inspired, as I said, by this future dreaming, which ERC and ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ gave us the basis for that. Important people came from Greece, academicians like Vagenas and Fokas, internationally known people, and also others from Europe, and we had also a Nobel Prize winner, Sechtman, and the NSF director of US, Suresh. Within this inspiration, again, we had collaborative efforts within Greece and also with labs, internationally known labs across the world. And I think science can help avoiding wars like today. There were also Iranian people who came here, extremely good people, Russians, US, and of course Europeans. And I think science can serve for easing a little bit and motivating the politicians not to act the way that they act sometimes. And ranking, yes, our lab, or it's number one, number one in Greece, in this area, aerospace and mechanical engineering, and 202 in the world. I think this ranking was achieved again because of ERC and ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ. And it's not important if a proposal is rejected. It helps to redo it better. Okay, I'm finishing. Okay, so just finishing then, some pictures just for a major, and here is pictures with Katerina, Kafatos, and I take 1 minute for this, for recommendations. I think perhaps, perhaps you can have it later, but I like to stress point 5. We have programs for young people, and let's see if we can have a program for senior people who are still acting young, and introduce such a program into ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ. and also have in the panels people from third countries to have internationalization, not just Europeans, not just Greeks. Okay, sorry for taking 2 more minutes. That's it.
Thank you very much, Professor Aifadis. Now, I would like to ask the other participants in this panel to introduce themselves, their research area, and the main research questions that the ERC project will address. Let's start with my colleague in the same department, very young, promising researcher, Thomas Tsovilis.
Okay, my name is Thomas Tsovilis. I have experience of over 20 years in lightning protection of power systems. Previously, I served as director of high current laboratories at REICAP in Greece and Slovenia. In 2019, I switched from industry to academia, and I returned to Greece to take over the role of professor of high voltage engineering at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. Regarding the ERC proposal, I'm trying to run a project so as to address the problem of protecting sensitive electronic equipment against lightning surges. The main hypothesis behind that and the scientific questions are associated with the ability of liquid semiconductors to be an alternative to solid-state and gaseous-based components, so as to address the problem of protecting sensitive equipment related to smart grids.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. Professor Anastasakis.
Hello, I'm Dimitris Anastasakis. I was appointed assistant professor at the University of Crete a year ago. And I'm studying, my passion actually is RNA, RNA binding proteins, and I'm studying these non-canonical structures called G quadruplexes. And my main question in the ERC proposal was to study them and answer the fundamental questions whether they exist in human cells and what are their role in the nucleus of human cells. Through this scheme, I was able actually to perform some preliminary and obtain some preliminary data to further enhance this proposal. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Professor Dialinas.
Hello, everybody. I will introduce myself. I'm a professor at the University of Athens in the biology department and also associate member with the Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology in Crete. I have to say my work is totally fundamental. My vocation is not at all translational research. I see science as art, knowledge, and nothing else. Of course, it's very important translational research. Some people can take my results and do something else. It's not my vocation. So sometimes I find lots of difficulties in convincing people because science goes very much in translational direction, unfortunately, to me. And my study is about membrane proteins that are difficult to study, transporters that are essential for cells. I care about the structure, function, and evolution. I care about very much about how things evolve. Is a real fundamental research. I have applied to the ERC project advanced grants the last 4 years 3 times, and I passed all times in the second round. This year I have my interview last Monday. I hope the 3rd time is more successful. If not, I will apply for a 4th time in order to get bored of me and give the money at the end. Although I'm not so young, I don't know, if I have more dark hair it could be easier. But I will go on, and I will have to say that the Papazoglu grant, but also Niάρχos, helped me a lot in doing that. Because with my first application, when I passed in the second round, I got a B, so I got this 100,000, improved my proposal as follows. I sent 3 of my group members, 2 PhD, 1 postdoc abroad, to get the expertise and work in a microscope that we don't have here. So they returned back. And so we really convinced that we have the expertise. Then the second panel, it's my fault because I became aggressive to the panel because I didn't like the questions. I have to say my experience. But the 3rd time I think I was a nicer person, so I think it might go better. So I have to thank Niάρχos and ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ because from both I got a lot of help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Anastasakis. Actually, I have the same view for research. I have the same view for research, and I have also applied this year for ERC for advanced, and I did the interview 10 days ago.
So we're in the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want permit to say something. I think science is also part of culture of a country. We know Greece because of Hatzidakis, Theodorakis. We have to know also, but we also know Greece because of Kafatos. And they recently sent a letter to the municipality of Heraklion. They have to make the name of Kafatos in a big avenue of Heraklion. And they didn't respond, of course, they are politicians. Anyway, but it's like having theater or cinema. We need these things. Make people better. At least they force the people to become better. It's not only translation and a product.
I completely agree, and I am also an author. I write novels. Yes.
Very good. I used to make movies when I was young,
Yes.
Super 8 movies. But then
Okay.
finally I decided to go. I was
Okay,
a terrible director, so anyway.
Professor Maggiorkinis.
Hello. Good morning from me. I'm Gikas Maggiorkinis. I'm an associate professor of hygiene and epidemiology at the National Kapodistrian University of Athens. A little bit of my history. I used to be, well, I stayed in the UK for 7 years between 2010 and 2017, where I was MRC fellow and a university research lecturer. Now, because you said about Kafatos, I remember a story there. In our department, there used to be a very influential person called Bob May, who is one of the most influential people in epidemiology during the last 30 years. And I remember talking to him and saying very nice words about Kafatos. He knew him personally. Bob May passed away during the pandemic. Now, with respect to my research, I'm a clinical virologist, and I'm interested in viruses. The thing that is related to the ERC project is one of the things that are very close to my heart. So I'm looking into the human endogenous retroviruses, these very strange parasites that we all have, and we have them for millions of years. And I'm looking into the question, what has been the fate of the last known human endogenous retrovirus known to be active, a question that has not been answered for decades now. And the project allowed me to study the potential activity of the endogenous retrovirus in the current days, the last thousands of years, and also in some cell cultures, and it has provided me some very interesting preliminary data that we hope to be able to help us move to more funding soon. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And now, Professor Mosco.
Hi, I'm Panos, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Crete. A bit of my story. So I graduated from the University of Athens. I'm a biologist, and Professor Gialinas was one of my professors back that time. Moving on, I graduated from Crete as a master's in plant biotechnology. Moving to Sweden, I came back in 2018 as an associate professor. And my major question from throughout my career had been how plants and in general organisms can read their environment and respond very rapidly to a changing environment. And so that was the basic idea. There was a black box at that time that we did not know what constitutes a stimulus and the reaction to any organism. So we were missing the very first milliseconds of the response. And so this is what I had been trying to address the past few years. And so I got this grant that was back, if I remember correctly, 2019 or so. And I bought some time with this funding to reapply to the ERC, and I got funded in 2024, if I'm not again wrong, as for a consolidator addressing exactly the same question. And that's about my story.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue now with some questions to the members of the panel. First question for Professor Anastasakis. From your experience, what are the main obstacles researchers in Greece face when preparing ERC proposals? Okay, this is a general question, and if anyone wants to also to reply, it's okay. Let's start with Professor Anastasakis.
Well, I think there are two main obstacles that everyone faces when returning to Greece, and one is there's no startup funding. That's, of course, we are lucky to have this scheme, Theόδωρος Παπάζογλου, but most of the young people that return don't have this opportunity. And the other, of course, is bureaucracy. So these are the two main obstacles. I guess everybody knows here that 20% of our time every day is consumed with issues related to bureaucracy, and that makes us 20% less competitive with our colleagues from other countries, of course, when submitting an ERC grant. Of course, the scheme was extremely important because it doesn't only show that we have some preliminary data, but it also shows that we have an actual running lab. So that was very, very important to show that we have a lab, we can produce results, we can perform cutting-edge science in Greece. So that was the main advantage that the scheme provided.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to also to ask Professor Diaginas because he has an experience.
Okay, bureaucracy is everywhere. Lack of national funding that is not regular. This is the most important of all. How fast the national grants are evaluated when they are there. Another thing is the lack of some facilities. For example, I want to use a cryo-EM microscope. There is no cryo-EM, so I have to collaborate. Sometimes the panel in ERC say, okay, but you don't have the facility to do it. Can we apply in ERC? We need some collaboration. Sometimes collaboration doesn't sound very good in the ERC project. So yes, I tried. Lacking facilities is something important, at least in life sciences. That's why I plan to move totally to fourth, to MBB, if I get the money. Because the biology department in Athens is very poor in facilities. So I have to move to another institute. So this is something personal.
For me, the most important obstacle is the limited institutional support. This also includes the infrastructures, etc.
Can I say something more?
Yes.
Building up a team. Up to now, 28 years of research, I'm doing mostly with PhD students. I have excellent PhD students from the biology department. But now this has changed because now we had the opportunity to get a PhD student directly from our courses without a master's degree. The best student can come directly. So I chose this student from my classes. Now this is forbidden. With the new law, they have to go through a master's degree. The master's degrees in Greece are few and all very biomedical directed, not fundamental research. So I'm losing all my students because they go abroad. So maybe we have to reconsider the biology department, for example, give a 5-year course to recognize as a master, or forget about having the obligation to have a master. You can get an excellent student directly from your classes. This is something very important.
Yeah,
Professor
I agree with the comments of the more senior people and also with the young ones. I think there is no much motivation by the young people in our country. I think there are several other factors which take their attention away, and they are looking for going abroad. I think a critical point would be to increase the interaction not only with US and Europe, but also with the third countries. Institutional support and also ERC support. Some people have proven themselves by the publications, the students that they produce. I have produced a lot of students who are leading in US and in China, professors now. And this is not recognized by the local institutions. I remember when I was a graduate student in Canada, they were giving $30,000 per year to distinguished professors. Something like that can be done also in an easy way here. There are a few of the people who have proven themselves with their career, and they keep working. So there could be a special fund for those people. I mentioned about senior people. And also you mentioned about the degrees. Of course, the best students are when they are attending the course, young ones, that you can see the eyes, and you can attract them. Going through the process of masters and many other administrators, and also the ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ. ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ. need to help. They do a lot of administration, but they don't have the vision that the researcher has. And sometimes they impose obstacles. My daughter had obstacles, I mean, from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ in Aouth. And Papazoglu tried to help very much, by the way. Anyway, so I think I should not say more. I think these were enough.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thomas, I would like to ask you something. What did the ERC evaluation teach you? The evaluation process, I mean.
Yes. It's actually a very demanding process, as everybody knows. I have been twice there to the final stage at the interview phase. A key lesson is that although high-risk proposals are, of course, welcome, it may be seen as a negative aspect by some reviewers if it is not supported by an appropriate, let's say, strategic plan of risk mitigation. In any case, even if the strategic plan of risk mitigation is perfect, you cannot say that you will have a successful outcome because it's highly competitive, but this is a key lesson from my side.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Magorginis, in practical terms, how the bridge program helped you in order to move from the previous ERC outcome toward a stronger new proposal?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important things that such a bridging funding can do is to allow you strengthen the parts that seem to be more weak when you get the reviewers' responses. So this is what I did. They questioned a couple of potential results during the first year. They thought that these are the most high risk, and so I focused on that to produce results, preliminary data that will strengthen the next round of reviews. Of course, we have to think that the reviewers always find something different, and it is a moving target, and sometimes you send the same proposal in different funding, and you get different kind of results, but you have to focus on the things that look more weak. Yeah.
So you believe that the existence of preliminary data is very important?
Yeah, it's one of the most important things that, and the thing is, even if you get preliminary data, you have to publish them. I think reviewers don't believe, even if you tell them, even if you provide the preliminary data in the proposal, if you publish them, you make them even stronger, because sometimes they don't believe even the preliminary data that you are submitting.
Because it increases the feasibility.
Yeah, increases the feasibility, and also and
decreases the risk.
Decreases the risk, and you show that you can do it. You show that you can actually do what you are suggesting you are doing, because an ERC proposal needs to be also high risk. You cannot propose something that is very feasible. So you have to make sure you show that you have the skills, you have the lab experience, you have everything that you can. It allows you as a person to do it, because it's person-centered. The same proposal from a different person will be weaker. So you have to show that you can do things that are relevant to the proposal. So, and I think this is something that sometimes we forget. ERC proposals are person-centered, and the people will believe differently me from you or from everyone else. That's why you have to produce results and publish them as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question for Professor Moscu. You got the consolidator grant, and what is your advice for a young researcher in Greece who plans to prepare an ERC proposal for starting grant, for example, or for consolidator?
Let me think. That's hard to say. Yeah, just to stay persistent, insisting on the principal idea, do not change directions all the time, because The problem here in Greece is that the time frame of the projects, if it is like a 2 or 3 year project, that's a very short lifespan, and people tend to be a bit opportunistic with their projects, and they change directions. So just keep the direction on one principal goal, and do not change all the time depending on what kind of funding agencies they will support your research. Otherwise, you will dilute your focus, and you will not succeed, most likely.
Thank you very much. And I have a question for Professor Diaginas, who applied 3 times before, and this is the 4th time.
No, this is the 3rd time.
This is the 3rd time.
Sorry, I have applied 4 times, 3 times I passed in the 2nd round.
Okay. So you have a big experience on writing and presenting the proposal. So could you share with us, when you revisit your proposal, what you changed the most?
My expertise, convincing them that my expertise is sufficient to do the things. So this is most, I think, was the most weak point. Can you do it? It's a nice idea, but can you do it? Yes, I have to increase to be more convincing in this. That's why I send my students abroad to get the preliminary results, to get to know how to do things.
Okay, and maybe this is a last question for all. What one change would make Greece a more supportive environment for ERC level research? Professor, yes.
Having national grants running every year and being evaluated very fast.
You mean for
national grants in order to be
from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ?
From ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ, yes. From ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ, yes. Not now and then. To know that every year or every 2 years you can apply, and you need national support.
And
some, okay, I can continue. Some seed money from the institutions, from the ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Ks. There are a lot of money spent by ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Ks in various universities which are wasted completely. And also, I think this is simple. They can do a small amount for competitive researchers. And I think it's not only what to do, it's also luck. It depends a lot of the evaluation panel. So you need to pray.
Okay, please.
Okay, so I totally agree. We need more funding, faster rounds. You cannot apply now and get the money in 2 years. It's already late. So you need faster rounds. I would say, from my perspective, I would break life sciences like it is in the UK. I would have more basic research and more medical or clinical research separated. This is what they do in the UK, and I think it works very well. And also, the thing that I used to be in a department that had like around 30% of the professors there had ERCs. So the department was ERC focused a lot, and they were very supportive in the applications, but this is department centered. It's not centrally university centered. So, for example, if one was going to the interview, they were getting 2 or 3 mock interviews from a panel around the university that had the experience. And this strengthens a lot. When you go to the panel, you've already been roasted a couple of times and you know what to expect. Also in the UK, I could tell you that I had the luck to be observer in 2 MRC panels. So you were going to where they discussing the funding, and you could see how the reviewers were working and what they were thinking. So you could think better the next time that you would write your proposal. So we need these kind of things to see that are activities that are more focused on how to prepare the proposal and how to stand against a panel. And of course, we have to think that this is a competitive, okay, ERC is competitive. When we have, for example, the Oxford University that gets multiple and they are preparing all the stuff like this is what we are going to, we are fighting against. So we need to be more trained around this kind of stuff, and of course have the funding, as we said, the seed funding.
I think the national funding is very important, And we in H.F.R.I. were working now to have, maybe in the next months, to have new calls with fast evaluation process and also fair evaluation process. But you will see after 1 year. Okay. So, if you want to comment, Thomas.
Just one more comment. I think that apart from funding, which is of course very important, at least for Greece, we have to make some shortcuts. My opinion is that we have to, the state, let's say, to give incentives to ERC grantees or top scientists, young from the United States, to come to Greece to run part of their funded projects, not only in the university, but also in the private domain. So we need to give them not just extra salary or a permanent faculty position. We need to give them family packages. We need to give them administrative support. We need to give them, for example, priority to high-performance computing infrastructure, such as Daedalus, which is under construction, or to give them the opportunity to run full-scale experiments in isolated power systems like the Greek islands. All these things can attract top-level researchers, and this will change completely the ecosystem of research in Greece. For example, in our department, we attracted an ERC grantee. This is very important, not only for us, but for the national, let's say, ecosystem of research.
Anastasakis, if you want to comment, if you want.
Yeah, I think I think many things need to change at the very basic level, like provide even a small amount of money to new PIs so they are able to start their lab immediately. And I think the other level is how generally science is viewed, and this should change. It's not something that we have to see mainly by the legislators, right? Not something as a luxury, but something as a common goal for progress and to perceive as the very foundation of progress and prosperity. So I think, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think we are forgetting the fact that if you invest to us €1, we will make it 4 or even more. So, I mean, from my personal experience and seeing excellent colleagues around me in Forth or the University of Crete, I would say that we can multiply the investment. So we are sort of a good investment. And that's it. Thank you.
One final thing. Yeah, about the environment you said. I think we should develop an environment better than what it is now in the universities. The universities are degrading, I think. And the administration has come strongly to influence research. There is no freedom. I remember Mitsos once said, I don't care if you buy a Corvette, as far as you come up with an excellent, groundbreaking research direction. I mean, this is an exaggeration, but it means freedom, academic freedom is suppressed. And I think, one more thing, we have to develop it as far as environment, we have to develop conditions for the rare species to survive. There is a a mathematician in Russia, you know, that he solved the problem for a long time unsolved. He lives with his mother, and he didn't get 1 million prize. It's not only money, it's to develop conditions for people to dream and people to avoid small daily arguments and help the world, help the human species to survive. And science and engineering can do that, not lawyers and not politicians. You know that. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just saying something that perhaps you all believe in. So live the academic spirit, freedom.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank you all for the participation in this panel. Closing this panel discussion, Professor Ιδ.Ε.Κ could not join us, However, she very kindly shared her experience on how this action influenced her research and professional path, and what did it enable her to do that would not have been possible otherwise. So we can see here, and he said, supported under the action Always Strive for Excellence, Theόδωρος Παπάζογλου, we completed a comprehensive study on action biology and regenerative potential. This work, currently in preparation for publication, provides a stepping stone for future functional studies with potential transnational application on nervous system regeneration. Furthermore, we were enabled to establish new collaborations and disseminate our research through various national and international conferences, which would not have been feasible without the SNF and H.F.R.I. funding. Okay, I would like to thank you very much, and this is the end of this panel. Thank you very much.
Which is the subject of the second panel is about funding ERCs. The seal of excellence is the theme of this panel. I would like to thank all of you for attending this event, and all the researchers, all the people that are coming and join us, and specifically Professor Kostas Fotakis, who inspired the establishment of ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ in Greece, of this organization that helped a lot our researchers to produce their research and develop their labs, given the opportunity to develop their labs. Actually, all of the researchers that are included in this panel have received the score A in ERC after the interview, but due to the budget constraints, they didn't have the chance to receive immediately from the ERC the budget, the funding, but they had the opportunity through the collaboration of ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ with Stavros Niarchos Foundation to receive half of the amount and to complete their research in half time. Is that right? In the half time. So more or less they received 6.5 million euros through these years, through these two calls. They had the opportunity to receive this amount of money, and I think that they gave the opportunity to establish, to make well-known their labs. I think they have this opportunity, and now probably they could maybe reapply to ERC for getting funding. All of our researchers they are from the 3 different kind of ERC-based fundings, and the panel, our panel has joined. They are Konstantinos Makris, Professor Konstantinos Makris, Professor Nikki Saulidou, Professor Nikolaos Michailidis, Assistant Professor Ευθύμιος Polatidis, Professor Spiros Pandis, and the Research Director Panayota Poirazi. Thank you all for coming to Athens and join the panel. And I would like firstly to say a few words about, to introduce yourself firstly, and to say a few words about the project that you received through our calls, and also how this call has helped this project and this proposal and this funding that you received from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and Stavros Niarchos has helped to establish your lab and to motivate even more your group, your research group, your lab to make a new application for the ERC or for another organization. Let's start from the ladies first. Panayota Poizari, Dr. Panayota Poizari, to present yourself, please.
My name is Yota Poizari. I'm the research director at the IDB in therapy and Greek. I am a computational primarily scientist. I've been studying the brain using computational techniques. I was fortunate enough to... Now it's working? Yeah. to receive an A, as you said, in the ERC Advanced grant call in 2023. And what I wanted essentially to do 2 years ago is to expand my lab so that I can do research in animals and also take ideas from our research in the brain and do brain-inspired artificial intelligence. So these were two new research directions, let's say, that I wanted to expand our lab into. And as previously mentioned, I guess my biggest problem was that I had not really established myself as an expert on those two fronts. Yet I got an A, so I was really happy. But they did not have enough funds. So I'm really grateful to the Papazoglu grant from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and Stαύρος Νιάρχος, because it allowed my team to now establish expertise in these two sub-areas, let's say, which now increases our chances of applying again and getting, hopefully, the ERC grant in the next round. So, yeah, that's my story.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Now, Professor Niki Saoulidou.
Thank you.
University of Athens, yes.
Yes, I'm a professor of physics at the University of Athens. I returned in Greece in 2012-11 after spending many years in the US. In this, I'm a particle physicist, experimental particle physicist, which means I study what everything is made of in experiments that we do both at Fermilab and currently at CERN, studying subatomic particles in large collaborations of 3,500 people is the experiment I work on. And I'm very grateful to ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and Stavros Niarchos Foundation for this grant. I got A in the ERC Advanced in 2022, but I was in the reserved list. And the proposal was to really discover new particles and new forces of nature. What we accomplished through this? Many things. First of all, we have a very strong team of very talented Greek PhD and master students that otherwise would have gone abroad. We managed to have postdoctoral researchers that returned in Greece from abroad, like Germany and the UK, and one of them is now assistant professor in Greece, so we managed to make them return and stay here. And in terms of science, one thing I can say is that, for example, 2 days ago, we received an email from a theorist seeing our results, our team's results in the largest conference of the field. It's called Morion, discussing about an excess that we've seen and possible interpretations of new physics models on what this excess could mean. It gave us a chance to bring a strong team to analyze the data that we have at hand now, in order to hopefully make breakthroughs and discoveries in basic research. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Professor Saoulidou. And now, Professor Konstantinos Makris, who is also physics.
Yeah. Yes.
From Department
hello.
of Physics.
Yes. So my name is Konstantinos Makris. I'm associate professor in the physics department of the University of Crete. Came back in Greece around 2017 as assistant professor after spending 12 years abroad in US, various places, US, Switzerland, and Austria. So my research interests lie on theoretical optics, photonics, in systems that are related also with condensed matter physics. So I'm interested in strongly interacting photons, nonlinear phenomena, and open quantum systems lately. Now, regarding the ERC, I applied 3 times. All of them, I got the A after the interview. Yeah. And the second one is related to this call of Papazoglu, Theόδωρος Παπάζογλου, and after I got it, it helped me to produce preliminary results in...
and what about the others?
The first one I didn't know. I mean, there was no call at that point. And the third one was a successful consolidator grant. So a little bit different topic, but in the same thematic area. So for sure, this call helped me to produce preliminary results and establish my group initially, and then it helped me to resubmit in a little bit different topic related to address on localization in random media that contain openness or amplification or dissipation of radiation. So for sure it helped me a lot also to change the proposal and resubmit and be finally successful. Yeah.
Congratulations for your work and that you are still, it is still ongoing.
It's still ongoing,
probably,
yeah.
you are going to apply once again.
Yeah,
yes.
hopefully, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you. So just we are moving now to Professor Michailidis from the University of Thessaloniki.
Thank you very much. I'm coming from Mechanical Engineering Department and I'm leading the Physical Metallurgy Laboratory there. I was already having an established laboratory. I was leading an established laboratory, but the additional, let's say, support coming from this Seal of Excellence program, I think, was really very important. We built a high-end prototype based on the proposal, which was about developing some new physics in additive manufacturing of metals. And I believe this will allow us to further broaden our research, and we're planning for a patent. We're planning to apply for a patent in the next months, and this, I believe, will also change the way we translate research into spin-offs or commercialization. So based on that, I think it was overall a very important, very useful, very practical use of money, and I think with the support of ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and the Stαύρος Νιάρχος Foundation, it was possible to keep the momentum rolling, because else it would maybe we would need some months or years to get funding on this specific topic.
Yeah. Thank you. I think the translational research is very important for mechanical engineering, I think. Yeah, for sure. And now we are moving to Ευθύμιος Πολατίδης, who is assistant professor from the University of Patras.
Yes. Hi. Thanks for the introduction. So yeah, I'm also a mechanical engineer, but with the heart of material scientist, like I like to say. So after spending several years abroad in the UK and then Germany and then Switzerland, I returned in 2023 back to Greece as an assistant professor, and then I immediately started writing a consolidator grant, which got an A, but it was not funded by ERC directly, but I'm grateful that I had this opportunity through H.F.R.I. and the Stαύρος Νιάρχος Foundation. So it helped me during my first academic steps here in Greece to establish a team and also acquire some infrastructure, some equipment, which helped me now also establish connections with the Greek community and also maintain my collaboration with my network abroad. So it is about materials, and what we are trying to address there is the problem of hydrogen embrittlement. So hydrogen, when it interacts with materials, it causes embrittlement. So they behave very brittle, they break easily and unexpectedly. So we use additive manufacturing, what we casually call 3D printing, to actually tailor the microstructure of materials. And when we call microstructure is what we see under the microscope. So we try to manipulate the microstructure of materials in order to address hydrogen embrittlement.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Professor Spyros Pandis, also from the University of Patras.
So I'm a professor of chemical engineering in the University of Patras, but I'm also an associated faculty member in Fourth. We have an Institute of Chemical Engineering Sciences in Patras, so kind of my ERC involvement counts as Fourth. I spent the first 15 years of my academic career as a professor in the US, and then I returned. I have to admit that the ERC, its presence, was a major factor in my return, and I was not disappointed. I already had an advanced ERC grant, which helped us go from nothing to a very, very good lab. This second, if you want, effort was to study the ultrafine particles that we are all breathing right now, particles that are smaller than 100 nanometers. These have a small mass compared to the rest of the stuff that we are breathing, but our hypothesis was that they are really dangerous because of their ability to translocate in our body and reach the brain. So the proposal did well. It missed the cut by 2 positions. That was really disappointed, but I was thinking of the person that missed by 1 position, so that felt better. The kind of the support by ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ helped us more or less establish the foundation of how to measure these particles continuously. It has actually, the project is still running, but we have gotten the initial support to kind of prove the hypothesis, and I hope that we will get there in the next year.
Thank you all of you for the introduction, and I think we have time for one more specific question to each one of you. And I would like to start with Professor Saoulidou. I would like to ask you, how was the implementation of your project in Greece influence your research trajectory or career development?
This specific one, because I was funded before also by ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and Stavros Niarchos Foundation. So it allowed me to enlarge my group, strengthen my group, tighten up collaborations from abroad. So I have to note here that with this funding, I was able not only to go to conferences, disseminate our results, etc., but to bring researchers from the US here to spend time here and collaborate with us and with our students and postdocs in order to both establish theories. So one of them is the head of the theory department at Fermilab. So they're prominent theories.
Not Greeks that they are in the
Not
US?
Greeks. They're
Yes.
not Greeks.
Yes.
They're colleagues from the US,
From the US.
that because of the large group we are building, doing novel searches that have never been done before, are coming here. For the 3rd time, they're going to come this year, and they're eager to come here to spend 2 weeks to work closely and collaborate with us. This, for our students and for young postdocs, is invaluable. It speaks volumes on, you know, what this project and what this funding allows us to do.
So you are published along with this?
Yes, we do publish along with these colleagues. In fact, one of them is a theorist that is producing these theory models that the entire CMS collaboration is putting on a thank you at the end because of the work that we do together. So, you know, it really allowed us to strengthen and expand.
This has helped your career in Greece also?
My career in Greece, it has helped in terms of, you know, perhaps being a stronger candidate for a professorship that I got 4 months ago. So personally speaking, it allowed me to continue to have fun, because I really want to stress here that we don't do this just for the positions or the titles. We do it because it gives us internal pleasure of advancing knowledge.
That's the most important.
That's the most important thing, and on passing knowledge to younger colleagues and seeing them find positions abroad, compete on equal or higher basis with colleagues abroad. So that's the biggest reward.
That's great.
And you know, I'm grateful to ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ also for this, because I have to say H.F.R.I was a breakthrough. When it was established in 2016, I said, finally in Greece we have this, because it was totally absent before. So I said, finally, we're making steps. Does it have disadvantages? Many. Can it improve? Yes. But it's a major accomplishment, and I hope it continues to exist and improve and help us achieve the things that we achieve.
That's great. Thank you so much, Professor Saoulidou.
Thank you as well.
I would like to ask Professor Makris now if your proposal were highly evaluated by the ERC, but not funded due to the budget constraints. Did this action enable you to move forward with your research? What would have been the impact on your work if this funding had not been available?
Yeah. So you are referring to to this action the second time that I applied. Yeah, as I said before, yeah, it was very critical because it helped me to produce new results, and as a second step to change also the topic. So when I resubmitted for the third time, the topic was different.
In the recent one.
No, this is running.
For the third time, I mean.
For the third time, no, I got it in 2021, and it started at the end of 2022, so it's still running. But this action of Theodorou Papazoglu helped me to really change somehow the topic of my proposal for the third time. So this was successful. So if I hadn't submitted, it would be a completely different picture.
Sure.
So,
that's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Okay. Thank you, Professor Makris. And I would like to ask you again, Professor Michailidis, how can national funding schemes complement European programs like the ERC more effectively?
Okay. Yeah. Actually, we cannot compete the European programs. So national programs should be supportive to keep scientists preparing for maybe larger grants like ERC or like European Commission programs. It's not that we miss talent. Talent is everywhere in Greece, so we need to support the talent to grow up and get prepared for being competitive in a European level. So for that, I think the national programs should have this kind of essence. So to support young researchers to develop, be competitive, but also support groups and senior researchers to continue the research they do, to continue the funding, to have consistency, and not just to have programs that come up every 2 or 3 years. It takes years to review. So this kind of fragmentation is not what we want. We want, if possible, as it was mentioned in the previous panel, to have every year a call at the same time of the year and be evaluated in a couple of months. And this consistency, I believe, will be very important for the national funding.
Was that actually helpful to be included in consortia all over Europe?
It is, actually,
this,
this action. You mean the ERC? Yeah. Actually, my ERC advanced grant proposal was really very well received by colleagues from international colleagues, I would say also, not just in Europe, but also in US. So that was really a good entry point for being competitive or being included in consortia.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And now I would like to ask Dr. Poirazi again. From your perspective as actually an ERC funded researcher, what are the main weaknesses or obstacles in the research ecosystem in Greece? We mentioned that before, but once again.
Okay, that's a tough one. Well, we already stated the lack of regular funding, which I think is the biggest problem, and we've known from statistics from other countries that there is a tight correlation between the regularity and the amount of national funding and the success rate at the ERC. So we can't say it enough. We need regular funding, consistent, even if it's not a lot, it needs to be there. The other thing I think we are missing is a culture of mentoring. So young people in particular that are applying for ERC starting grants.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, we definitely need a mentoring network. And in fact, we are trying to do that, I have to say, on behalf of the TES. We're trying to set up a mentoring activity to help people look at successful proposals, unsuccessful proposals, do mock interviews to prepare better so that they have higher chances of success. I think experience on panels is also very important, so it's really good to see it from the other side. So if we can train people also to serve as reviewers, then they will know what to look for in a successful proposal. So that we also need to establish.
Then it's also maybe a mentality aspect that we are lacking in this country, that for some reason excellence is not always seen as a good thing, right? There is a tendency to believe that money should spread equally to fund everyone and not support a few of the best in the country, which I think is totally wrong. And there is place, obviously, for supporting the basis, and that's really important. Not everybody can be doing, you know, the really top-notch science, but that does not mean that we should try to punish people who are at the top. On the contrary, there should be a culture of supporting excellence, because this is representing our country at the highest level. And instead, we're seeing a lot of really talented people leaving the country because of this mentality. So that's something else that as a country, I think we should you know, pay special attention to.
May I ask you, do you think that ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ could actually support consortia, Greek consortia, instead of supporting just individual labs?
But there is. I mean, I had to join the consortium grant from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ, in fact, so that exists, the collaborative grants. So yeah, I mean, sure, of course, why not? That's also great because you support complementarity. Yeah. And infrastructure is the last but really important thing that we are lacking. It was mentioned several times. We cannot really be top-notch or very competitive if we don't have the infrastructure that is needed. So investing on critical infrastructure is also something that the country should prioritize. For sure. So I guess a lot of things.
Okay, so I would like to ask, sorry?
May I add something also?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Sure, thanks. Something that was alarming during the first presentations is the gender imbalance. So I think most of us share the problem that we struggle to find and hire PhDs nowadays. And I think that's because we don't have attractive packages for PhDs, postdocs, so that they, not only in terms of salary, but in terms of career path. I think it's common everywhere, right? Not only in Greece, but generally we don't, you know, provide this security of career path to young scientists, and especially also looking at the gender imbalances, we have to strengthen this this social aspect of, you know, hiring postdocs and PhDs.
Okay. May I ask you actually regarding? I'm staying with you, Professor Polatidis. May I ask you, the grant that you received, the funding that you received from ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and Nyaskos, has helped you to stay in Greece or to return to Greece or to develop your lab? In what direction?
Yes, so I actually, like I said, I returned in 2023, so I started immediately writing my ERC proposal. And I think having this opportunity has two meanings. One is practical, because I could eventually implement the project that I wrote, hire people, acquire infrastructure, and actually it is ongoing currently. But it's also symbolic, I think, to other people who work abroad, Greeks that work abroad, that actually Greece is a place that they can do novel research, they have opportunities, and they can return and really strive here.
So this was also your experience through?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
so it was, I strategically started writing when I arrived to Greece, because knowing that I would also have this additional opportunity through H.F.R.I. that would eventually increase my success rate,
and
or
your
my
chance
success
to stay in Greece.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And Professor Pandis, I would like to ask you, would you suggest an action or policy change that would make Greece a more supportive environment for researchers aiming at ERC level excellence?
Yeah, I have two things, right? One that is kind of obvious to everybody here, you know, make the Theόδωρος Παπάζογλου program permanent. But a second that is also related to the rest, and this has been one of my big questions in Greece. I'm in an institute in Fourth where there are 8 researchers and there are 150 people supported by the institute. At the same time, very, very talented people that we have here live abroad which is great, right? I encourage my PhD students and postdocs, if they work in Greece, to go for a few years away. But then we have nothing to offer them. We already have 2 ex-students who got ERC grants, one in Germany and one in Sweden. They both wanted to return to Greece. I had nothing to offer them. And at the same time, I'm in an institute that has a lot of money, right? We actually, but the system says you cannot hire people. I say, why? They say it's a cost. I say, no, it's an investment, right? I think that this is what I would change, right? That mentality that we look that in research we are hiring civil servants, and this will cost the government money. So the fact that the contribution of research is not appreciated, and it's not papers or PhDs, etc., right? It's all these bright people that you bring into the society that can then go and do things that are very different from the research. I have had 50 PhD students. I work in air quality. 40 of them don't do anything related to their PhD. Most of them are contributed a whole lot to the US economy right now. So the investment paid off. So sorry for giving such a long answer, but I think that somehow this is the mentality that we need to change. And again, not for the people in this room, but for those kind of above also, yeah, who look at research and science as a cost.
We have to go down to the community, I think, Professor Pandis. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just something to add with respect to this, which I entirely agree, and it's very important. We were invited to give a talk at the university a few months ago, and there were government officials, and I made 2 quotes from 2 bodies, not that I necessarily have anything to do with or I agree, but just asked to give an example. So I took 2 quotes from the IMF, you know, and Mario Pinto, a higher official, maybe I'm forgetting his name, the former director of the European Bank, or I'm sorry, Yes, investment bank. Technocrats have nothing to do with me, have nothing to do with my mentality, and said that societies that don't invest in basic research and innovation with numbers are doomed to, not to thrive, period. So that is simple. It's not elementary particles, it's not photonics, it's not air quality, it's something that everybody higher up can understand. When they don't invest in basic research, they're not going to progress. Thank you.
And one last question, if we have a few more. And then Professor Fotakis will make a comment. I would like to ask, what would you suggest for young research in Greece that they want to apply for an ERC grant, even for the first step for an ERC grant, not consolidated, the first one, but what do they have, how they have to be prepared for the application? I think we mentioned that before with Professor Majorkinis, but what would you suggest to be prepared for this grant, and what do they have to avoid when someone wants to apply for such a grant?
Should I? Since I have the microphone. I mean, sure. First of all, I would say reach out to others who have gotten a successful ERC grant, ask them to share their proposals and discuss with them to share tips on what are, in their opinion, the most important things to avoid and the most important things to stress. Mm-hmm. So the mentoring aspect, I would say, it's really important. And then come up with think outside the box. This is what the ERC is looking for. They're looking for ideas that are not mainstream. They would not normally be funded by national funding. So it's really important to come up with something that is extraordinary, but also at the same time, demonstrate that you have the ability to do it. So you need to be tangible yet extraordinary, which is not very easy, and that's why mentoring is a critical aspect here. I don't want to take more of the time, people who have not come.
Yeah, just a comment that they have to think big from the beginning, not leave our comfort zone, their comfort zone, which will keep them doing what it is easy to do for them, but at the end they will not get a compelling proposal which is challenging and is resolving problems, that fundamental problems of research, and also at the end not manage to get the high risk, high gain, which is in most of the cases needed.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you so much. I think Professor Fotakis want to... Yeah, for sure. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Am I okay here? Yeah. Okay, I would like to make very few comments considering the time constraints. First comment has to do with the significance of public funding. Public funding is absolutely vital, but not only that, is how you use the public funding. Because you may use the public funding like it happened in the very difficult years of 2016, when ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ was established, and it was a conscientious policy there to support people. People are the most important asset in a country. So this is why ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ was established. Unfortunately, from the echoes I hear so far, there are very serious funding problems over the last years. And I like to hear this panel, and also the previous panel and other panels, talking about the great achievements of ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ and of Theos Papazoglu, who, by the way, was my student and very good dear friend. Together we started a lot of things and initiatives. Most important, he was a visionary. This was a parenthesis. So the important thing is that I heard this panel and the previous panel and other panels, and my question is, what is the reaction to this situation? There is no funding with the various excuses we hear. Here excuses that there are δημοσιονομική στενότητα, that means there are no funds available. Okay, I don't want to go into that, what funds are available. But at that time, 2016, 2017, they were very difficult times. The economic austerity was really at its peak, and still this was done. That's the first thing. Supporting people, capacity building, and this is people, and also infrastructure, as Professor Dialinas mentioned earlier. And in ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ they have a program for infrastructure which cannot go on as it stands now. The second thing which has been raised here, not only in this panel, the previous one, is touching various aspects which have to do with what are the prospects for young researchers who make a PhD with the help of ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ or other funding sources, do their postdoc. What are the prospects after that? What can they do? I'm afraid this is an issue which is very much related, as it was correctly pointed out, to the brain drain question and the brain waste, I'll be saying, people doing things which have nothing to do with the things they have been trained to. And this issue is very much related to what we call the development paradigm. In a country that effectively the basic pillars of its economy is cheap services, φτηνές υπηρεσίες, tourism, other services, real estate. Let's not forget what are the major investments in this country. It is Costco, real estate. It is Ελληνικό, it is Ελληνικός Χρυσός, all this real estate business. And also there are some activities for the production of products, primarily low quality, low added value products. So in a country that there is no basis for what we call a knowledge economy, where knowledge is not that important, the issue is not what is offered by the Greek universities, which they do a very good job. Public universities make a very good job. I'm afraid that there's going to be changes in a potential forthcoming ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ from what I hear that other contestants will join in. Universities which have no at all research profile, but they would like to have access to the research funding, but it's a different story. So when there is no emphasis in a knowledge economy, in knowledge, of course, there are no jobs for these people, or there are limited jobs. There are no prospects, I'll be saying. It's not the jobs only. And from my times, I remember this was the major constraint for people staying here, and the major reason for people leaving the country. What are the prospects? What is the hope? What is in the future for them? And this is missing due to the development project, the development model. And a final bit, Laura is here, and listen, which has to do with the European policies. Let's not glorify European policies. I know quite well these policies. At some point, I regret to say that I had been even participating in formulating European policies, and we see what is happening nowadays. In the next framework program, I don't know how many of you know that, research will not be an independent program like Horizon used to be. No, it will be everything under competitiveness. At least this is the proposal by the European President at this moment. Everything under competitiveness. That means structural funds, cohesion funds, agricultural policies, research, industrial policies. Research, what is maintained as an identity so far, it is the ERC and the EIC. Other projects that we knew, collaborative projects, will not be there. It will be, as Mrs. van der Leyen says, will be going to the researchers and demand. That means if there is a need for something, we'll go and ask them, do research for that, and give us the answers. So this is why, as it has been recognized now officially, formally, look what happened to the Draghi report. Europe is doing very badly, both in research and innovation. It's following its economic decline. At some point, Europe was about 24-25% of the global GDP. Now it has reached the 16% and it has been caught up by China. So there is much more into that, there's much more behind that, which has to do with research policies. And I believe that people like you, who have managed to prove themselves, you should stand up and express a few things instead of making a kind of a wishful thinking, or something even better, being in a panel like we are here and complain and say this thing is happening or the other thing is happening. So I think I took a lot of your time.
Thank you for your so much for your statement. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Very nice to listen to a lecture by Professor Fotakis, but I don't think the Greek universities came to the state they are now just all of a sudden. It happened from a long time. Other things. People, I came here with special invitation in the place of Lianis, George Lianis. I came when I was less than 40. And after I tried to establish the things that I learned in the States, I was sent to the disciplinary court for having a second position in the States, which was not a second position, it was a research position. And I had 7 years fighting with the administration at the university, and I went, and I was not punished at all. And they changed a little bit the law. And Lianis, who was my predecessor, came and said to the president of the Arios Pagos, he said, I made the law, and I made the law to bring people back. So after that, I know many people who came and they left. And Professor Fotakis was in a strong position to change it. He had other pressures as well, of course, I know, but we didn't do anything in the Greek universities to encourage people to come back and stay. We are also develop small networks of supporting each other and not allowing the real creative people to shine. There is talent in Greece. Of course, there is not everywhere. There are some people, I have a graduate student who wrote 10 papers, also some with focus at Vagenas, who is an excellent academician. And he still does not have his PhD because of the constraints that they put on him. I'm sorry to just say things that are perhaps opposite of the common sense, but I think we have to give a little bit more attention to those things. We have to live, creativity is not growing, and you cannot change people. A flower will be a flower, a rose will be a rose. Okay. So you cannot impose rules for those things to come up. They will come on their own. People make the difference, not the rules. People can change the rules. And I think we have to leave a little bit freedom for that. No, sorry, you understand what I'm saying. But people don't change the rules. People, people who are thinking, sorry, people who think differently are not flourishing. I had two proposals from my detect that were, and they were because there is the internal network. It doesn't need money. Who had to change this mentality?
But even we have more opportunities, financial opportunities nowadays than the years before. Professor Fotakis, they don't support research in Greece. Yeah, nowadays. Yeah.
Can I make a comment? I think both of these are correct at the same time. So, but there are two different things. One is to have the measures there and the mechanism to be able to provide stable funding, have continuity, allow research groups to flourish and be formed. There is no question about that.
All over the world is the same. Every year they
right? That's one. And the second is to improve existing bodies like H.F.R.I. Do they need improvement? Yes, of course. I mean, we can all contribute to that. But you have to have something there that is stable and allows for continuity in order to improve it. If you don't have it, you can improve zero. That's my opinion. There are a lot of disadvantages, and we can discuss them in a different panel and things how they can improve, definitely. But you have to have something there to be able to improve it. That's fundamental. Thank you.
Thank you for all for the interesting conversation. You want to say a few more words? Would you like to say something more?
I would like.
No.
I think that the important issue at this moment is that the event is going down very fast.
Very fast. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
As Ilya says, that there are cases that they are not just, I don't know what. But this is not, it's different. But we need to have the structure there as Nikki. Yes, as Nikki said, we need to have the structure there. We have to have to maintain the event so that we can have also the opportunity
to improve the whole evaluation. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Fotakis. And I would like to thank all of you for contributing to this panel. But before closing the panel, we have one of our guests, Kostas Grigoropoulos, Professor Kostas Grigoropoulos, who could not make to come and join our panel. Kostas Grigoropoulos is a distinguished professor at the University of California in Berkeley. The project title is Nature-Inspired Augmented Design of Hierarchical Materials. And he said a few words about our event, our action. The action always strive for excellence. Theodore Papazoglu was instrumental for my research team at IESL 4th. It provided the means to establish a new and ambitious research direction, recruit and support talented young researchers, and strengthen critical infrastructure. At the same time, it facilitated our collaboration with NTUA, accelerated joint research, scientific exchange, and technology transfer. The project achievements are of international impact and carry substantial promise for pursuing successful future endeavors in the field. And with these few words from Professor Grigoropoulos, I would like to thank all of you for attending this ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ event. It was our pleasure to have all these funding researchers and that ΕΛ.ΙΔ.Ε.Κ helped a lot these activities. And we have time for discussion between us and we offer a lunch for our participants. We have time for more discussion during the lunch. Okay, thank you all of you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are concluding. We will now move on to the closing remarks. Just a few minutes. Dr. Kouravellou, if you please.
Just a few minutes, don't worry. Lunch is already there. So, distinguished guests, esteemed panelists and participants, dear colleagues and friends, as we reach the conclusion of this truly inspiring event, an event in memory of Theodore Papazoglu, one of the cornerstones of the ERC, I would like to take a moment to reflect on what we have shared today. We began by celebrating a milestone, the 10th anniversary of the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, and more importantly, a decade of unwavering commitment to advancing excellence in research across all scientific disciplines. What we have seen today is a living proof that the mission is not only relevant, but essential. Throughout our discussions, one message has resonated clearly. Excellence exists, even when it is not immediately rewarded. The researchers we heard today, those who achieved outstanding evaluations in the European Research Council process, embody the very best of scientific ambition, perseverance, and intellectual rigor. Their work stands as a testament to the strength and potential of the Greek research community. The initiatives we explored, made possible through the collaboration between the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation and the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, demonstrate something equally important, that strategic support at the right moment can make all the difference. By bridging the gap between recognition and funding, we are not only supporting individual researchers, we are strengthening the entire research ecosystem in Greece. Our panel discussions offered valuable insight into both the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. They reminded us that success in highly competitive environments like that of ERC is not solely a matter of merit, but also of persistence, preparation, and support. And this is precisely where national institutions, as the Hellenic Foundation for Research and Innovation, can and must play a decisive role. Looking forward, our responsibility is clear. We must continue to invest in people, to nurture bold ideas, and to create pathways that allow excellence to flourish without barriers, without limitations. To all the researchers who participated today, your work inspires us, your determination encourages us, and your success, present and future, will define the next chapter of Greek science. I would like to warmly thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Lara Pondigia, Senior Policy Analyst at the ERC Executive Agency, Dr. Henning and Ms. Silvia Papazoglu, our panelists, and all of you for your active participation and thoughtful contributions. Your presence made this event not only meaningful, but impactful. Above all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Stavros Niarchos Foundation, whose generous support had made it possible to turn our vision into reality, and which continues to stand by us as a precious partner in fulfilling the mission of H.F.R.I, which was and remains the fostering and strengthening of the Hellenic academic and research community. Let us move forward with confidence, collaboration, and a shared commitment to excellence. Thank you very much.